When his father pressed play on my phone, Enzo's face went white. He, who always laughed. "My father believes everything. You're just the maid," now stammered. "Dad, she edited this." Because his spoiled son, Enzo, had blown 30,000 on wine and blamed me, and his father believed him. But for 3 months, he used me to cover up his 0 grades and parties. Threatening me with dismissal, he made me look like the villain to his millionaire father, Mr. Bastos, who cut my pay, the only money for my grandmother's treatment. Then I said, "You're right, but you only saw your camera. Now listen to my audio." He always said, "My son is a genius." So I showed him the genius he created, threatening me with arrest. But the threat against me wasn't the worst. That's what the audio caught Enzo saying about his new stepmother and the plan he had for the inheritance. And when Mr. Bastos heard that, his world fell apart. But let me tell you how I got to that breaking point. I was hired 6 months ago, not as a nanny, but as an academic supervisor for 16-year-old Enzo. Mr. Bastos, the father, was one of those movie stereotype millionaires. Cold, widowed, with a mansion that looked like a museum, and a new fiancée, Carla, who looked half his age. The salary was what drew me in, $7,000 a month. I needed that money. I needed every single cent of it. I took this job because of my grandmother. She was the woman who raised me. My parents, well, they were never in the picture. My grandmother did everything. And now Alzheimer's was consuming her. The disease was moving fast. I put her in a specialized care facility, a decent place, a place where she'd be treated with respect. But dignity is expensive. The facility cost $4,000 a month. The experimental medications, another $3,000. The $7,000 Mr. Bastos offered wasn't a luxury. It was the exact cost of survival for the only family I had. I would put up with anything for her. If you've ever had to put your pride aside to take care of someone you love, like this video, you know what I'm talking about. And subscribe, because this story is about the limit of that pride. In my interview, Mr. Bastos barely looked at me. He just kept shuffling papers. "Enzo is a misunderstood genius," he said, without looking up. "His grades don't reflect his potential. It's the teacher's fault. Your job is to make sure he gets straight A's." Enzo walked into the room, 16 years old, perfect hair, the smile of an angel. "Anna, it's great to have you. I hope we get along." In that moment, I thought, the father is just protective. The kid seems sweet. Fatal mistake. The first sign that something was wrong. Didn't even take a week. We were in his online physics class. Enzo couldn't answer a thing. The teacher, losing his patience, said, "Enzo, this isn't working. I'm calling your father right now." Enzo went pale. The house phone rang in the next room. Enzo sprinted. I followed him. He picked up the phone, and then I heard it. His voice changed. It dropped an octave. "Hello." "Yes, Professor. This is Mr. Bastos speaking." I froze. He continued, "Don't worry. Enzo and I have already discussed it. He's trying his best. Honestly, I'm beginning to think the problem is your teaching method. Don't call me again for this. Goodbye." He hung up. He turned to me, his voice back to normal, and smiled. That angelic smile. "Problem solved, Anna. I should have left that day. But I thought of my grandmother. I thought of the $7,000. I just nodded and said, let's get back to class. But I still hadn't seen the worst of it. 3 weeks later, Mr. Bastos went on his first business trip. He left Enzo and me alone in the mansion. "Anna, you're in total control. Enzo is grounded. No leaving the house." The first night, Enzo threw a party. Not a small party. A 200-person party. I tried to intervene. He laughed in my face. "What are you gonna do? Call my dad. He'll fire you." In the middle of the party, I heard a crash. I ran to the main hall. A Chinese vase, blue and white, one Mr. Bastos said was worth more than a car, was in pieces on the floor. Enzo went pale. The smile vanished. Anna, my dad is going to kill me. I felt a spark of hope. Yes, he is. And you're going to tell him as soon as he gets back. Enzo looked at the pieces of the vase, then looked at me. The fear disappeared. His face turned cold, calculating. No, we are going to tell him. We are going to tell him that you were cleaning, late at night, and you bumped into it and broke it. My jaw dropped. I'm not doing that. I'm not lying for you. He took a step closer. Okay, fine. Then I'll tell him I saw you taking $500 from his office drawer. I'm the genius son. You're the employee who needs money. Who do you think he's going to believe? Anna. My blood ran cold. He knew I needed the job. He knew about my grandmother. He was using her illness against me. When Mr. Bastos got back 2 days later, Enzo ran to him crying. Dad, it was Anna. She was cleaning and she broke the vase. I tried to stop her. I was paralyzed. Mr. Bastos didn't even blink. He turned to me. His face was red with fury. Get out of my sight, he growled at his son. Then he looked at me. Anna, $5,000 will be deducted from your salary this month. Mr. Bastos, it wasn't... Silence, he yelled. You don't have the right to speak. You broke a $20,000 piece. Be thankful I'm not calling the police. Now get out. I left the room shaking. As I looked back, Enzo was standing behind his father's shoulder, and he smiled at me. That day, I paid for my grandmother's medicine with my credit card. It maxed out. I was trapped, and he knew it. The situation only got worse. He started to use me. His fiancée, Carla, was the next victim. Carla tried to be nice to me. Anna, if you need anything, let me know. I know Enzo can be difficult. One day, I heard Enzo talking to her. His voice was soft, concerned. You know, Carla, I heard my dad on the phone. He said he thinks your dresses are vulgar. He said you have no class, and that he's only with you because he feels sorry for you, because you have nowhere else to go. Carla left the room crying. I knew it was a lie. Mr. Bastos was cold, but he wasn't cruel like that. Enzo was testing boundaries. He was seeing how much poison he could spread before getting caught, and that's when everything changed. The next target was me. Again, it was exam time. The geniuses' grades came in. An F in physics, a D in chemistry, an F in history. A disaster. He called me into his room. Anna, darling, I need you to change these in the system. My dad's password is Enzo the Best 123. I shook my head. No, I already lied about the V's. I'm not committing a crime for you. His smile vanished. Oh, Anna, you will. You know why? Because if you don't, I'm going to tell my dad I saw you and the driver kissing in the garage, and that afterward, you tried to kiss me, that you harassed me. Disgust rose in my throat. It was so vile, so dirty. You wouldn't. He moved closer, his face inches from mine. Try me. I went to Mr. Bastos's computer, and I changed the grades. I typed A in every subject. I felt filthy. I was disgusted with myself. But the image of my grandmother being kicked out of the facility, I couldn't do it. I was trapped, and he knew it. But his arrogance would be my salvation. 2 weeks later, Mr. Bastos announced another trip, this time with Carla. A romantic weekend before the wedding, he said. Enzo smiled. Have fun, Dad. Anna and I will be studying hard. The second the car was out of the driveway, Enzo turned to me. Anna, tonight is the party, and you are going to make sure no one interrupts. Enzo, your father will find out. The house has cameras. I'll disconnect the cameras. The problem is you. You're staying in the guest room. If you come out, I'll call the police and say you attacked me. They'll be here in 5 minutes. He locked me in the guest room. I heard the music start, the shouting, the laughter, and hours later, the unmistakable sound of breaking glass. A lot of glass. I was in there for 6 hours. 6 hours, listening to my dignity being destroyed on the other side of the door. When he finally opened it at 4 a.m., the house looked like a war zone. And the smell was wine. He took me to the wine cellar. The door was broken open. The floor was covered in shards of glass and dark liquid. Bottles worth $10,000, $20,000, $30,000. Destroyed. Enzo looked at the mess. Then he looked at me. You're going to clean this. Now. And if my dad asks, you were sick in your room and didn't see anything. Got it. That was it. The click. That's the second that rage overcomes fear. I looked at his arrogant face. He thought he had won. I forced a look of defeat. Fine, Enzo. I'll clean. As I swept up the broken glass, he had no idea what I was planning. I knew his father would be back in 2 days. I knew he would blame someone, and that someone would be me. The cameras were off. It was my word against his. I needed real proof. That's when I made my decision. I wasn't going to run. I was going to fight. I used the last $200 on my credit card and bought the best audio spy recorder I could find online. 24-hour express delivery. That night, while Enzo was passed out drunk from his own party, I snuck into his room. My heart was pounding so hard, I thought it would burst out of my chest. With shaking hands, I taped the tiny device underneath his desk. The next day, I faked normalcy. Good morning, Enzo. Sleep well. He didn't even look at me. Clean the pool. It's disgusting. I cleaned it. And while I cleaned, I connected my headphones to my phone and listened to the recording from the night before. If you like stories where justice is finally served, like this video and subscribe, because what comes next is the turning point. I expected to hear him bragging about the party. What I heard was much worse. The first audio file was him with his friends. His voice was clear. Anna, that idiot. I'm going to make my dad have her arrested for stealing the wine. She's poor. No one will believe her. My dad will buy me a new car for protecting the house and kicking out the thief. My stomach turned. But the second audio file, the second one changed everything. It was Enzo, speaking quietly on the phone with his girlfriend. Relax, babe. Carla signs the marriage papers next week. The prenup gives her everything if he dies. As soon as she signs, I start the plan. I'll swap her anxiety pills with my grandma's old meds. I'll make her look crazy. My dad will have her committed. He'll get sick with grief. And all of this, he laughed, is ours. The nanny is just the warm-up. My blood ran cold. I stopped breathing. He wasn't a spoiled teenager. He wasn't a manipulator. He was a sociopath. And when Mr. Bastos returned from his trip a day later, I was ready. Enzo ran to his father the moment he walked in. Dad, it was horrible. Anna, she went crazy. She threw a party, broke into the wine cellar, stole your wine. She locked me in my room. She's a monster. Mr. Bastos didn't say a word. He just walked to his office. I followed him. Carla entered right behind us, looking confused. Mr. Bastos sat in his chair. He was red-faced. He pressed a button. The TV on the wall lit up. It was the security footage from the wine cellar. The image was of me at the door at 4 a.m. I was there documenting the damage, taking pictures. I saw the cameras, Anna, he said, his voice low and dangerous. I saw you at the cellar door. Enzo told me everything. You are a monster. He paused. Enzo was behind him, wearing the most victorious smile I'd ever seen. And then, Mr. Bastos said the words, Anna, you're fired, with cause. Silence filled the room. I looked at Enzo. I looked at Mr. Bastos. I took a deep breath. A cold calm washed over me. It wasn't fear anymore. It was clarity. You're right, Mr. Bastos. I said calmly. You saw your camera, but you haven't heard your son. Mr. Bastos frowned. What do you mean by that? I mean your genius son destroyed your wine cellar, and I have the proof. I pulled out my phone. I opened the recording app. I pressed play. Enzo's voice filled the office. Gonna make my dad have her arrested for stealing the wine. She's poor. No one will believe her. Mr. Bastos stopped breathing. He turned, slowly, to look at Enzo. Enzo's face was white as a sheet. Dad, it's a lie. She edited it. It's a deep fake. I laughed. An audio deep fake, Enzo. Really? Want me to show you the receipt from the electronics store? The timestamp on the recording? Or the part where you admit to breaking the Chinese vase? Mr. Bastos's jaw dropped. But I still hadn't played the main event. Carla, the fiancée, who had been quiet in the corner, took a step forward. Honey, what is all this shouting? What's going on? Mr. Bastos held up a hand. Carla, not now. Enzo looked at Carla with a hatred I'd never seen before. I looked at Mr. Bastos. Mr. Bastos, the stolen wine isn't your biggest problem. And Carla, I said, looking directly at her, I think you should hear this. I pressed play on the second track. Enzo's voice, low and sinister. As soon as Carla signs the marriage papers, I start the plan. I'll swap her pills, make her look crazy. My dad will have her committed, and all of this is ours. The silence that followed was absolute. Carla made a sound, a sob, and collapsed into the nearest chair. She started hyperventilating, clutching her chest. Enzo panicked. He tried to run. Dad, she's a witch. She planted it. She's lying. Mr. Bastos stood up, but he didn't move toward me. He moved toward his son. I've never seen a man break like that. He didn't yell. He whispered, and it was 1,000 times scarier. Enzo, you planned to kill Carla. Enzo burst into crocodile tears. No, I was just kidding. I wasn't going to do it. I was just talking. Mr. Bastos looked at his son like he was a total stranger. He grabbed the phone on his desk. Hello, security. Lock down the house. No one leaves. And get Dr. Mendez, my lawyer, now. He hung up. The silence returned. And then he turned to me. The hatred was gone from his face. All that was left was desperation. Anna, he said, his voice cracking, I'm sorry. For God's sake, I am so sorry. Stay. You were right. I'll pay you triple, double, whatever you want. You saved Carla's life. I looked at this powerful man, now reduced to nothing. I looked at the boy sobbing in the corner, and I looked at Carla, trembling. I shook my head. No, Mr. Bastos. I quit. He was stunned. But what about your grandmother? The treatment? The money? It was my turn. My silence, I said, taking a step forward. Cost $7,000 a month and a minimum of respect. You failed on both. The $5,000 deduction from my salary for the vase your son broke. That money was for my grandmother's medication. You thought her dignity was worth $5,000. He tried to speak. Anna, please, how much do you want for that audio? For your discretion. I don't want your money, I said. By the way, while you were listening to that recording, I already sent the full audio file to Dr. Mendez, your lawyer, and to Carla's lawyer. I think that prenup is about to change. Carla lifted her head. For the first time, she smiled. A weak smile, but a real one. A smile of understanding. Mr. Bastos collapsed into his chair. He finally got it. He wasn't the boss in this room. I was. I picked up my bag from the floor. I walked to the door. Good luck with your son, Mr. Bastos, I said, without looking back. He truly is a genius. I walked out of that house and never looked back. 2 weeks later, I got a call. It was Carla. She'd called off the wedding, obviously. She thanked me, and she made a wire transfer to my account. $100,000. The note just said, "A gratitude bonus for saving my life. Today, a year later, my grandmother is in the best care facility in the state. I live near her. I'm not a supervisor anymore. I used the money to open my own home security consulting business. And guess what my slogan is? I find the monsters your cameras can't see." And Enzo, he didn't go to military school. He went to a long-term psychiatric facility in the Swiss Alps. Mr. Bastos lost his fiancée, his credibility, and deep down, his son. He lives alone in that mansion, surrounded by cameras that never protected anything. I learned the hard way that rich and powerful people, like Mr. Bastos, often don't see the people beneath them. But they also don't realize that when you have nothing left to lose, you have all the power. In the end, they only have the power you let them think they have. If you believe that justice, no matter how long it takes, always finds a way, like this video, and subscribe to the channel for more stories of people who turned the tables on those who thought they were untouchable. I know this story is extreme, but if you've ever been humiliated at work, if you've ever been underestimated, if you've ever had to swallow your pride just to pay the bills, you know exactly the rage I felt. Now I want to know from you all, what would you have done in my place? Would you have taken the triple salary Mr. Bastos offered to stay quiet? Or would you have exposed everything, even if it meant risking your grandmother's treatment? Tell me down below in the comments.